What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com, live on Facebook late in the day on Friday, late in the week, heading into the weekend. But before we do that, we got to talk some Packers. There's always something on your mind. Not a whole heck of a lot news-wise this week, obviously, as players, coaches, and executives try to get away from it all. But that doesn't mean there isn't stuff to talk about, things on your mind. I'll probably jump on Facebook a little less frequently next week with the holiday weekend, but I will be on a few days. Randy, what's up? Packers fan club's checking in. Goodness gracious. Myrtle Beach, Andy. I love Myrtle Beach. I haven't been there in a while, but I love it. Starting offensive line as of now. Good question to start us off. I'd say Bakhtiari, Taylor, Lindsley, McCray, and whoever wins that spot coming out of camp. Probably, I'd say it's a toss-up between Byron Bell and I'd say Kyle Murphy, because it's really hard to have much faith in Jason Spriggs after what he's put on tape the last couple of years. Demario, cheers, what's up? Mark, long time no see. It's been like about 24 hours. Steve, hello. But yeah, the offensive line is clearly, the right tackle spot is going to be one that is going to be under a lot of scrutiny throughout the summer. And this first couple of weeks of camp in particular, I think, as they're trying to sort out who can do what at that position. And I don't think, and I say McCray at right guard because I think he will end up winning the spot, but that doesn't mean he won't have competition. I think they'll run, obviously, the rookie Cole Madison there. Patrick will get a shot. So it's not like he's going to just walk into the job and have it handed to him, but I do believe he'll win it. Kate May, what's up, man? Saying hi from Arizona. Hey, Brandon, what's up? Toledo, Ohio. How you doing? I'm concerned about wide receiver depth. Should I be? John, I don't think that's out of bounds. I think it makes a lot of sense to be concerned about it, considering, you take out one hit to Devontae Adams, and all of a sudden, especially on the perimeter, you're looking at a lot of inexperience. Geronimo Allison becomes your de facto number one outside target, other than Jimmy Graham, who probably will split out quite a bit. But yeah, I don't think that's an illegitimate concern. Totally understand looking at a depth chart and seeing, three rookies who obviously will battle for opportunities, but then a couple second-year guys in D'Angelo Yancey and Michael Clark. There's not a lot of experience there. Not a lot of tread on those, wear on those tires. So, yeah, I think I understand the concern. I'm interested to see if they make any moves prior to camp. Should we be concerned with Aaron Rodgers swimming with sharks? Well, no, it's already happened. So, if anything unfortunate would have occurred, I'm sure we would have found out about it. Why not sign Dez? Hey, man, I'm on record saying I think it's a good idea. I think the Packers want to stick with their youth. They are a draft and develop franchise, and they're going to continue to do so, even without one Mr. Ted Thompson pulling the trigger. I also think they had preliminary interest there, but once the draft happened and they got their three guys in the draft, I think they don't want to stunt their growth, so to speak. North Pole, Alaska in the house. Home, if I'm not mistaken, of one Darren College. Who will be our secondary starters beside Clinton Dix? Mario, that's a good question. I have been projecting, and this isn't official from the Packers, obviously, but I think Tramon Williams will be locking down one side on the perimeter. The other side, I tend to think Kevin King ends up winning that job, but I don't think Josh Jackson's going to go down without a fight. I think Lindsey Pipkins will be heard from before all is said and done. But I do think Kevin King wins that spot opposite Tramon. And then in the slot, because let's face it, 80% of their snaps are in nickel, as Mike Pettin himself said when he was hired. I tend to think it's got to be Jair Alexander getting that nod in the slot. Now, that's all projection on my part. Doesn't mean a hill of beans once they put the pads on and we see how things fall, but sitting here in late June, that's how I see it playing out. I really like Dez over there. I keep saying, I think it makes a lot of sense. You put him opposite Devontae Adams, let Rodgers go to work. Great, good question. Any undrafted free agents going to make the roster this year? I mean, the Packers have a history of giving these guys opportunities. There's no doubt about it. Ask me again a couple days into camp. There's always a guy who every year comes into camp undrafted and just keeps consistently making a play a day. And it's not even a question of, making a ton of plays every practice. It's about making a play every single day that starts to make people turn their heads. It happens every single year. A consistent performer who, given an opportunity, makes the most of it and makes a play. Not just like does the correct assignment, but makes a play, whether on the football or with the ball. You see it year in and year out. So ask me, 3 or 4 days into camp, we'll start to get an idea of who's maybe turning some heads a little bit in that undrafted class. Do you think the Packers will select anybody in the supplemental draft? No, Norman, I do not. I think there's some intriguing talent, people that are eligible, but I don't. The Packers have sat out for so long. I think they like their squad. They're at 90 men. They're at the 90-man roster at the moment. So unless they've absolutely fallen in love with someone, and I know they've been on to the pro days, etc. of these prospects, but I'd be very surprised. Yes, no. Do all 3 drafted wide receivers, make the roster coming out of camp? That is an excellent question. Give me a couple days in camp before I start projecting who's making a roster and who isn't. What's that? Could you repeat the question about Ted Thompson and the tweener picks? I think I got it, but I just want to make sure. They're just the questions are flying by. More important player to step up this year, Ha or Martinez? I think it's got to be Ha, right? We got to see. I think the Packers would love to see some kind of bounce back from him. And I'm not in the school of those who are saying Clinton Dix had a terrible year last year. I don't think that's true. But I think the dip in his play was noticeable, and I think, for the Packers' sake, I'm sure they're hoping that turns around. What are your concerns about the offensive line? Right tackle. I don't think there's any question. I think they're fine at all the other spots. I really do. And I know people have questions about McCray, and I understand that. But watching his tape, I think he's an NFL player, and I think he can definitely do the job at right guard. I do wonder what they're going to do at right tackle and who ends up winning that job, because I can't see. I just don't see much of a quality starter coming out of the group of Byron Bell, Kyle Murphy, and Jason Spriggs, who are the guys vying for the spot. While Brian Bulaga is down. And for everything they've said, all the positive words they've given about Brian Bulaga being ahead of schedule in his recovery, he tore his ACL at the last part of the season. There's just no, unless he's turned into Adrian Peterson and or discovered some magical properties that we're not aware of, I just can't see him being ready for week 1. And that means they've got to be ready to get whoever is going to be starting there at right tackle for week 1 ready to go. So we're gonna see a battle there, but I don't, I know Byron Bell's played a lot of tackle in the league, but he hasn't played it well. I think he's a decent guard. I think he could probably play a good amount of guard. He played really well at left guard for Tennessee, but at tackle he is just overmatched. Any update on Rodgers' contract? Nothing yet. I keep saying I would expect it right before training camp starts. More tie in the slot, Craig. I think you'll see exactly that, especially with Cobb hobbling a little bit at the start of camp. I think you'll see them experiment with Ty there quite a little bit. Who's going to step up to fill Janis's gunner role? Aaron, that's a really good question. I think, I don't doubt they're wanting Dimitri Goodson to get back up and running and doing his thing because they like him on teams, although he seems to be really prone to mistakes and penalties. So I don't get the infatuation there, but I'm sure they'd like Goodson to make a bounce back, and that would definitely be his one chance of getting back onto the roster. But outside of that, we'll see. I would think they'll probably run these wide receivers, these rookie guys, run all 3 of them there and see who maybe can possibly help, not only gunners, but special teams in general. Because look, you're talking about a numbers game. You're talking about, someone asking earlier, which of those 3, will all 3 make the squad? Only if all 3 are contributing on special teams. Because without those contributions, it's going to be hard to justify keeping a guy, especially a rookie, who can't do anything else other than play, one spot on offense, and then even then he's not going to contribute a whole heck of a lot. So to justify their spot on the roster, they're going to have to contribute when special teams are on. Is this the last year of the kickoffs? Ooh, Duncan. You got me all in the feels there. I don't think it's the last, but I think the end is coming soon. Do you think Kofi Amichia makes the 53? Norman, sitting here in June, I'm going to say no, but that's just guesswork on my part. Let's see what happens when the pads come on and he's given a chance to earn a spot. Do you think Aaron Jones will have the starting job by week 1? No. I think, there's no question he's talented. There's no question that he's going to get his. But I also think that Mike McCarthy is in earnest when he talks about running back by committee. And I don't see, anything happening in camp and or preseason that just completely overwhelms and blows away the coaching staff to the point where they make him the workhorse. I think it'll be a process. I do think he'll end up getting the bulk of the carries by the end of the year, but that's only because I think his talent is too good to deny, especially in that group. Hi from Tampa, Florida. Who's the next Packer heading to the Hall of Fame after Kramer? Whew. Well, it should be Leroy Butler, but we'll see. We see how long it took Kramer to get in, but Butler is way overdue. What will intrigue defenses so much about Jimmy Graham? His wingspan and his ability to go get the football. It will be interesting to see how they choose to shade coverage, whether they kind of go towards Devontae or they go towards Graham, because you got to think those, especially on third down, those are going to be your big 2 primary weapons in the passing game. And Rodgers, he can put the ball wherever the heck he wants, and that's going to allow him to put it in spots where only Jimmy Graham can go and get it with that wingspan. So, yeah, I think the quandary for defenses when it comes to Graham is going to be who you choose to match up with him. Are you putting a linebacker on him? Are you putting a safety over there? Are you matching up a corner if he's out on the perimeter? He presents a lot of problems still, even towards the end of his career. Best Packer tight end of all time? That's obviously Tom Crabtree. Come on, it's not even a question. Were you running from the cops during the Brady Papinga podcast? No. It's summer in New York. My windows were open, which means you're going to hear sirens. Sorry. Do you see Burks playing outside at all? I think he can. I think he's got the skill set to do so, but I know they want to run him inside to start. We'll see. They have a long history of locking in on guys and then being kind of inflexible about it. But, I think he could. But to start, at least, I think they're going to run strictly inside. Should Nick Collins be in the Ring of Honor? I don't think so. I think he's an excellent Packer. Contributed to a championship, no doubt. But I don't see him up there. Do the Packers have a realistic shot at the number 1 seed in the NFC, in my opinion? Yes. Will our depth... Oh, sorry, they go too fast. Aaron Rodgers deserves more rings. Well, to quote Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven, deserves got nothing to do with it. All right, everybody, I'm going to jump. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours. I'll be back next week. Like I said, probably not as much next week due to the holiday, but I'll be on a day or two. In the meantime, make sure you're checking PackersNews.com. We've got tons of great stuff up there for you, including the latest opponent preview from Michael Cohen of the Buffalo Bills. I believe the Lions are coming on Sunday. So we'll be rolling through all of those, and then we'll start getting into positional previews. So lots of content coming for you at PackersNews.com. Make sure you're checking it out. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. I'll see you next week.